Once again, we are back on that historical figure iceberg grind. I hope you've all learned stuff so far on this journey. Anyways, this is the last video of tier 3, so enjoy. Herodotus. Let's start in ancient Greece and meet Herodotus, often called the father of history. Born around 484 BC in Halicarnassus, which is modern-day Bodrum, Turkey. Herodotus grew up in a city that was part of the Persian Empire. Herodotus spent much of his life traveling. He journeyed through the Persian Empire and beyond, visiting Egypt, Babylon, Scythia, and Greece. Everywhere he went, Herodotus observed local customs, asked questions, and collected stories and information about people, places, and events. By the time he settled in Athens, and possibly later in Thurii, a Greek colony in southern Italy, Herodotus had gathered a massive collection of tales and historical accounts. He compiled these into a work known as the Histories, the earliest known systematic investigation of historical events. The central theme of the Histories is the Greco-Persian Wars, a series of conflicts between the Greek city-states and the Persian Empire. He didn't just write about battles and political intrigue, he also recorded fascinating cultural details, myths, legends, and even gossip. He described the pyramids of Egypt, the customs of various peoples, and the wonders of the world as he understood them. His work also includes colorful tales like the story of King Croesus' downfall and the stand of the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae. He's also been criticized for including myths, exaggerations, and second-hand reports. Some of his accounts were dismissed as fanciful by later historians, earning him the nickname the Father of Lies. By some skeptics, however, modern scholarship has shown that many of his observations were remarkably accurate for his time, given the challenges of gathering information in an era with no modern tools or reliable records. Herodotus died around 425 BC, but his work had already secured his legacy. The Histories became one of the most influential texts of the ancient world and laid foundation for the field of history as we know it. Herodotus was one of the first people to systematically investigate and record historical events. Before Herodotus, stories about the past were often told through myths, legends, and oral traditions. Herodotus took a different approach, traveling to gather first-hand accounts, questioning sources, and attempting to explain why events happened as they did. His work also offers valuable insights into the cultures, customs, and beliefs of ancient peoples. His accounts have been a treasure trove for historians, archaeologists, and scholars studying ancient history. Constantine the Great. Constantine was born around 272 AD in Nisus, modern-day Nis, Serbia. He was also the son of Constantius, a Roman military officer who would become a co-emperor in Helena, who later became a Christian saint. Constantine's early years were spent in the imperial court of the Diocletian, where he gained military and political experience. In 306 AD, after the death of his father, Constantine was proclaimed emperor by his troops in Britain. The Roman Empire was divided at the time, and Constantine had to fight to establish his authority over rivals and co-emperors. His rise to power was marked by battles, alliances, and shifting political dynamics, but it was one particular battle that would define his legacy, the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD. Before the battle, Constantine reportedly had a vision of a cross in the sky and heard the words, "In this sign you will conquer." Taking this as a divine message, he ordered his soldiers to paint the Christian symbol, the Chi-Rho, on their shields. Constantine won the battle decisively, defeating his rival Maxentius and becoming the sole ruler of the Western Roman Empire. In 313 AD, Constantine and his co-emperor Licinius issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance to Christians and ending years of persecution. Constantine's support for Christianity grew over the years, and he became increasingly involved in church affairs. He convened the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, which sought to address divisions within Christianity and led to the creation of the Nicene Creed, a statement of faith still used by many Christian denominations today. Constantine also undertook many large building projects, including the construction of the city of Constantinople, which is modern-day Istanbul, which he made the new capital of the Roman Empire. Constantinople would become a center of Christian culture. Later, in 337 AD, on his deathbed, Constantine was baptized, becoming the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity. His conversion is the subject of much debate among historians, with some questioning the depth of his faith versus his political motivations. Constantine ended the persecution of Christians and was able to get Christianity to become the dominant religion in the Roman Empire, and later, Europe. By making Christianity a central part of imperial policy, Constantine changed the religious landscape of the Western world and shaped the development of Christian theology, worship, and church structure. Constantine's establishment of Constantinople as the new capital shifted the empire's focus eastward and contributed to the rise of the Byzantine Empire. The city became a cultural, political, and religious center, influencing art, architecture, and politics for centuries. Constantinople's legacy endured even after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, shaping Eastern Christianity and Orthodox Church. Constantine's reign also showed a shift in the relationship between the church and state. By embracing Christianity and using imperial power to support it, he set a precedent for those close ties between religious and political authority in medieval and later European history. Ananda. Ananda is one of the most important figures in Buddhism and the Buddha's closest disciple and attendant. Ananda was born into a royal family and was the Buddha's cousin, making him part of the Shakya clan. When he was in his mid-30s, Ananda became a monk and joined the Buddhist monastic community known as the Sangha. About 20 years later, Ananda became a monk. The Buddha appointed him as his personal attendant. This was a big deal because it meant that Ananda spent nearly every day at the Buddha's side, witnessing and absorbing the teachings firsthand. As the Buddha traveled and taught, Ananda was there observing. Ananda was known for his exceptional memory and ability to recall the Buddha's teachings verbatim. This talent became crucial after the Buddha's death. He would also help establish the order of Buddhist nuns, or bhikkhunis. This happened when women sought to join the monastic community. Ananda spoke to the Buddha on their behalf. Shortly after the Buddha's passing around 483 BCE, the first Buddhist council was convened to compile and preserve the Buddha's teachings. Ananda recited the Buddha's discourses, becoming a living repository of the Dharma, Buddhist teachings. Allegedly, he achieved enlightenment just before the council began. Ananda continued teaching and preserving the Dharma for many years, helping to solidify the foundation of Buddhist tradition. He passed away at an advanced age, leaving behind a legacy of dedication, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the Buddha's teachings. Ananda played a crucial role in preserving the Buddha's teachings. Because of his memory and close relationship with the Buddha, he was able to recall and transmit the teachings that form the core of the Pali Canon, the primary collection of texts in Theravada Buddhism. Today, Ananda is remembered as the guardian of the Dharma and remains one of the most respected disciples of the Buddha. Augustine of Hippo. Augustine was born in 354 AD in Thagast, a town in present-day Algeria. His father, Patricius, was a pagan who later converted to Christianity, while his mother, Monica, was a devout Christian. His parents sent him to study in Carthage, the great Roman city in North Africa. He was often drawn to the pleasures of life, engaging in parties, relationships, and fathering his son, Deodatus, out of wedlock. While studying rhetoric, he was captivated by the works of Cicero and pursued the philosophical and religious teachings of Manichaeism, a dualistic faith that combined elements of Christianity, Zoroastrianism, and other religions. He moved to Milan in 384 AD to take up a prestigious teaching position, and it was there that he met Ambrose, the Bishop of Milan. Ambrose's powerful preaching and intellectual approach to Christianity began to break down Augustine's resistance to the faith. Augustine's internal struggles are vividly described in his Confessions, an autobiographical work in which he wrestles with his desires, doubts, and searches for truth. In 386 AD, according to his Confessions, he heard a child's voice saying, "Take up and read." He picked up a copy of Paul's letters and read a passage that inspired him to fully embrace Christianity. Augustine was baptized by Ambrose in 387 AD, marking a turning point in his life. Augustine returned to North America, sold his possessions, and found a monastic community in Thagast. In 391 AD, he ordained as a priest, and 4 years later, he became the Bishop of Hippo, modern-day Annaba, Algeria. For the rest of his life, Augustine served as a pastor, theologian, and defender of the Christian faith. Augustine died in 430 AD during the siege of Hippo by the Vandals. His legacy, however, would continue to influence Christian thought for centuries. His Confessions is considered the first Western autobiography. This work has inspired countless readers by showing that faith is a journey filled with moments of grace. He developed the doctrine of original sin, which holds that humanity is inherently sinful due to the fall of Adam and Eve. He also emphasized the importance of God's grace for salvation, arguing that humans cannot achieve salvation through their own efforts alone. Augustine's writings on free will, predestination, and the nature of evil have been subject of intense debate and study for centuries. His views helped define the philosophical underpinnings of Christianity and influenced later thinkers in both the religious and secular worlds. David started life as a shepherd boy, the youngest son of Jesse from Bethlehem. Unlike his older brothers, David wasn't initially seen as special. According to the Bible, the prophet Samuel, under God's direction, anointed David as the future king of Israel, while Saul still ruled the kingdom. David would later famously encounter Goliath, a giant Philistine warrior. Armed with only a sling and 5 stones, David stepped forward to face Goliath, declaring his trust in God. With a single stone, he struck Goliath in the forehead, killing him and securing victory for the Israelites. This victory made David a national hero, and he quickly rose through the ranks of King Saul's court. But David's success made Saul jealous. Despite David's loyalty, Saul saw him as a threat and tried multiple times to kill him. David had to flee and live as a fugitive, gathering a band of loyal followers and outmaneuvering Saul's forces time and time again. During this time, David showed restraint and respect for Saul, refusing to harm him even when he had the chance. After Saul's death, David was anointed king of Judah, and later he became king of all of Israel. As king, David established Jerusalem as the capital, bringing the Ark of the Covenant there and making it the religious and political center of Israel. Under his leadership, Israel expanded its territory and became a powerful nation. David was known for his military prowess, diplomatic skills, and deep religious devotion, which inspired many of the Psalms attributed to him. He later had an affair with Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah of the Hittites. When Bathsheba became pregnant, David tried to cover up the affair and eventually arranged for Uriah to be killed in battle. The prophet Nathan confronted David about his sin, leading to David's repentance and a series of personal and family troubles that would haunt him for the rest of his reign. He passed away after a reign of 40 years, leaving the throne to his son Solomon, who would build the first temple in Jerusalem. David is remembered as the greatest king of Israel. David's triumph over Goliath has become a timeless symbol of overcoming odds through courage. The book of Psalms, many of which are attributed to David, continues to be a source of prayer, worship, and inspiration for millions of people. In Jewish traditions, David is seen as the ideal king whose dynasty is central to messianic expectations. The Hebrew Bible prophesies that the Messiah will come from the line of David, making his legacy crucial to Jewish messianic beliefs. For Christians, Jesus is often referred to as the Son of David. In Islamic tradition, David, known as Dawood, is regarded as a prophet and righteous ruler. He's respected for his devotion to God, his leadership, and his ability to receive divine guidance. Today, David remains one of the most iconic figures in religious and cultural history, representing faith, leadership, creativity, and the struggle for redemption. Albert Einstein. Lastly is Albert Einstein. He was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, in the Kingdom of Württemberg in the German Empire. He grew up in Munich, where his father and uncle ran an electrical equipment company. He struggled in traditional schooling, often clashing with the structure of the education system. When Einstein was 16, his family moved to Italy, but he stayed behind in Germany to finish school. Eventually, he decided to join his family and later enrolled in the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich, where he trained to become a teacher in physics and mathematics. During this time, Einstein began developing his approach to solving problems. After graduating in 1900, Einstein struggled to find a teaching position and instead took a job as a patent clerk in Bern, Switzerland. This period, called his miracle years, became the most productive of his life. In 1905, Einstein published 4 groundbreaking papers that revolutionized physics. These papers introduced his theory of special relativity, explained the photoelectric effect, for which he later won the Nobel Prize for, detailed Brownian motion, and presented the famous equation of E equals mc squared. Showing the relationship between mass and energy, that equation alone reshaped humanity's understanding of the universe. He moved on to prestigious academic positions in Prague, Zurich, and finally Berlin. In 1915, he completed his general theory of relativity, an even more profound rethinking of gravity and the fabric of space and time. This theory was spectacularly confirmed during a solar eclipse in 1919. He had 2 marriages, first to Mileva Merrick, a physicist with whom he had 3 children with, and later his cousin Elsa Launthal. Einstein's Jewish heritage made him a target in Nazi Germany. In 1933, he fled to the United States, accepting a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. While in the US, he spoke out against fascism, racism, and the dangers of war. Einstein's concern with Nazi Germany's nuclear ambitions led him to co-sign a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt urging the US to develop atomic weapons. This indirectly contributed to the Manhattan Project, though Einstein himself was a pacifist and did not work on the bomb. After World War II, Einstein became a vocal advocate for global peace and disarmament. He also worked to support civil rights and opposed McCarthyism in the US despite his declining health. He continued to contribute to physics, seeking a unified theory that would reconcile quantum mechanics with general relativity, though he never succeeded in his quest. Einstein passed away on April 18, 1955, at the age of 76. His brain was preserved for study. Einstein's theories of relativity transformed physics and our understanding of the universe. Special relativity redefined concepts of time and space, while general relativity helped us understand gravity, predicting phenomena like black holes and the expansion of the universe. His work was the beginning for modern astrophysics, cosmology, and the development of technologies like the GPS. His explanation for the photoelectric effect paved the way for quantum mechanics and technologies like solar panels and semiconductors. His famous equation of E=mc² revealed the energy contained in matter, leading to both the development of nuclear power and the atomic bomb. Einstein's humanitarian efforts made him a global icon. He used his fame to advocate for peace, civil rights, and international cooperation. Today, Einstein is remembered as one of the greatest scientists of all time.